We back on the bench, yo. We back on the bench. Just chilling, man. Ruminating. I guess I don't know what kind of morning this is. It's overcast for sure. I don't think it's gonna rain though. The way things are going, it might snow. But yeah, good day. I feel good, but my mood is mellow, kind of reserved back. I don't know. This is episode 35. So here we are, episode 35. We're gonna get into some things. We're gonna see how you doing. How you doing? You okay? You okay? You okay? Yeah, so we're going to talk about a few things, and right after this. I was thinking about is this kind of atmosphere that we're in right now, where things seems to be happening under its own momentum, and you got one person over Netanyahu, I guess, and you got Trump over here, and they seem to be making moves and involving people and people's lives, and nobody seems to be able to stop the momentum, and that's just it's hard for me to understand how that is even happening. But it's happened before, where countries or individuals in countries have moved the political, financial direction to ruin or disgrace. And when you look back in history, you wonder, in Germany, for instance, in World War II and leading up to World War II, where people basically saw what was happening. And I guess there was a great number of people in Germany that, yeah, we're going to do it this time, Not like the other time, we're going to do it this time, right? And, but I'm pretty sure that wasn't everybody in the country. I'd venture to say that might not even have been the majority of people in the country. But they went that anyway, right? So I equate that to United States today and the direction, and everybody's focused on one person. And I have a feeling, I was about to say I know, but I don't know, but I have a feeling that one person can't drive this ship, One person can't direct the intentions and of a whole country. There's got to be more than one person. It's got to be a group of people, right? And it's got to be a very focused group of people with access to certain levels of control, and they project their will, or they project the direction where they want to go onto everyone. And we either accept it as the truth, or we reject it. But either way, it doesn't matter if we don't do anything about it. So that's my thing today. Groups, right? And group dynamics, right? It came to me like other things came to me. But it's the groups that we're in and that we associate with, and how we relate to other groups, and how the deconstruction of certain groups and positioning of certain groups has made things like this, I think, possible. Now, people that in business or in these companies now, they do a thing. They have a new format where they have teams and groups, and we work in teams, and they have these seminars and talks on group dynamics and how the group should function, and who has what authority or position in the group, and group dynamics, right? So that's kind of fascinated me for the last couple of days. So I was looking into it, right? Now, a dynamic system, the one that they always use, is like a storm, right? It has the individual molecules of water or whatever, and they get together with the wind and they create a storm, right? So every piece or every part of that system is working together, right? So that becomes a dynamic thing. Also, your body is a dynamic thing, right? Where you have all these individual cells working together to be you every day and run your systems and all of that, right? So it's like it's a system that's, I don't want to use the word, but dynamic, right? It does something, and it functions together for a specific end, right? Now, when they say group dynamics, it's the examination of how a group works together, individual parts, to produce a specific end, right? But where it gets funny with these talks and these people, they interchange group and team, right? One minute they start talking about the group, and the next minute they're talking about a team, right? Now, a group is not necessarily a team, but a team is always a group, right? So group dynamics functions differently in a random group. Let's say a group of people sitting in the park. They're a group of people sitting in the park, but they're not a team. Now, if you are a soccer team in the park, or if you're a group of people playing soccer, then you could say it's a team and they're functioning together for a specific end, right? So this is where I think the deconstruction happens, right? Where they encourage people to be in certain groups, but they discourage team or teamwork, right? They promote individuality, and the other thing is roles, right? Certain people resist roles or traditional roles, right? They don't want to be categorized or placed in a certain position, but they identify with a certain group, right? Like black people identify with black people, but they don't want to be stereotyped into a black role, right? Now, these roles sometimes are prescribed by others onto the group, right? And sometimes these are roles that the group projects out, right? But in general, people don't want to be pushed into a certain role if they're, for whatever reason. The point is, groups that aren't teams can never be effective. Groups that aren't teams can never be effective. That's why a small group that decides to work together in a team can be very effective, regardless of how big or small that particular group / team is. Once you become a team, you have to accept roles, you have to accept authority, you have to accept why you're in that group in the first place, right? So this is my thing. If you can have people accept groups without team, they're just a bunch of people running around, ineffective, right? Same thing. I mean, I can see how they did that, how it was done with the family group. where it's just been dispersed. People talk about it all the time. There are all different reasons or ideas of why the family has, broken up, and people don't want to get married anymore. They don't want traditional families. I don't know if it's because of the roles or if it's just, I don't know, individual thoughts. Even though people can see that it's becoming, or have been for a while, detrimental to certain groups, certain societies, certain countries, really. So, and bringing it back to what I was saying about Germany or the United States or Israel right now, is that certain groups within these countries or within these larger groups have become teams. And they are very, very focused, and they are working towards an end. The same thing happened, I think, in the civil rights era, where a group became a team, right? And they started working toward a specific end, what they call civil rights, right? Even though now people that were alive at that time, or they identify with that group because they were quote unquote successful, meaning they brought light to that particular group or that particular segment of the group, and they made quote unquote changes, right? So now everybody looks back and say, yeah, man, I was down with that, bro. I was down with that. I remember back then, but nah, I was there in that time, and everybody wasn't down with that. Every black person wasn't down with that. I'm gonna tell you right now. No, it wasn't. A lot of black people were actually afraid of that. But that's a whole nother story. That doesn't matter, because the focused group, the team within that group, they had a goal, they were focused, they had hierarchy, they had roles, and they did what they strived to do what they set out to do, and so became very powerful within the larger society, the larger group. So I think this is what's happening now, right? Where everybody seems to be bristling at what's happening, but nobody seems to be able to do anything. There's an aura of inevitability. That's that phrase from The Matrix, where the robot guy says it's inevitable, and everybody just feels powerless. In a society that purports itself to be one of freedom, people feel powerless to change anything. We have choices, but we don't have power. And now it's a question of whether our choices make any difference whatsoever. But this seems to be what's happening. And when I look at it, like as group dynamics, right? At any point, any group can decide to be a team and work towards a particular goal and be effective just because they're working together, whether it be 10 people or 100 people, and can effect some kind of change, or at least present some kind of opposition. But I don't know if it's fair. I don't know if it's this malaise that I was talking about, where everybody is just tired and just kind of like psychologically beat down, And one thing I always say is, people are out of shape. They're out of shape mentally, they're out of shape psychologically, and you're out of shape physically. Because the one thing you never see is a fat revolutionary, that's for sure. But yeah. So that's just my observation about the ability for individuals to affect change in this society, or I think any society, has to do with their ability to work together towards a specific goal. Anybody that's ever played on a team knows that. Everybody can't be the point guard. Everybody can't be, everybody can't be on the starting five. Everybody can't. They have to accept a role that they know will help the team. So I don't know if it's a refusal of people to accept their role, or the inability of people to understand their position, or maybe it's a mentality that it's all right because I'm going to hit the lotto. I'll be the one, I'll be the one that squeezes out and go live on the beach, But and in the meantime, these focus groups with intent and direction and motivation are doing things in the world that people are just looking and shaking their head and feeling powerless. So that's my, that's what I'm getting at. I had my whole thing for power dynamics, but I'm not even going to get into it because it's not that specific. I'm not trying to be that specific, but I just would like you to consider, and even though your people work in groups or they are in teams, it's the individual on the team that makes everything work, because you have to do your part. That just, let's say if you're playing basketball or whatever, that doesn't mean that you just run out on the floor and, you have to be prepared to go out on the floor, And hopefully the people that, let's say the starting five, are the ones that made themselves ready to be out on the floor, That means physically, emotionally, psychologically, right? And if you don't feel you're ready, don't go out on the floor. Don't go out there if you ain't ready. But you can always get ready, So yeah, that's what I'm saying this morning. It's we heading for spring for sure. We on our way, that's for sure. We going. So let me know what you think about that, that whole group dynamic thing, and how even inside the group, it's the individual that decides to play a role, whether it be the leader or a follower or motivator. It's still up to the individual to play a role. Even though now a lot of people don't want to be typecast or say that they're this, but everybody can't be the quarterback. I mean, if you want to win, if you just want to go to the games and sit in the sidelines and hope your team wins. But it's the people on the field that determine the score. So yeah, that's it. It's a beautiful Sunday. We're in the Aries. We're going on the Aries, like myself. My birthday's coming up. Yikes, I can't believe the number. I can't even say it out loud. I have to write it down and show you. Oh my God. It's a lot. It's big. But yeah, I'll probably be out of town. Not probably. I know I will be out of town. Out of the country. So my next video, YouTube, will be somewhere else. That's all I got to say about that. Just remember, it's not what you think. It's what you think about.
They put an S on freedom. They put an S on freedom. Freedom never used to have an S. Freedom was singular and stood by itself for itself. You are either free or not free. No in between. They put an S on freedom. They put an S on